All right, folks, we are live here, Tuesday at 7, and buckle your seatbelts because this is going to be a good episode. I'm coming around, but we are here. This is not our first time together.
Right,
How
yeah.
many years ago was that?
About 3 years ago now, it's wild to think because it doesn't feel like it was that far back, yeah. It's like I'm honored that you're having me back on, and that my bit of creativity is worth taking a time out of your day to interact with. I appreciate that so much.
Let's go back,
Sure.
right? Because we connected right at COVID.
It was COVID, and I think like everyone trying their various like ways to stay sane. You guys were helping with the Pretentious Cleveland Portrait Artists, which is such an amazing and supportive group, which it makes the name that much better, right? Like, and you and Beth were doing stuff like hosting and having people sit, and so I got plugged in with that group, and that's how you saw my first started to see my work, and yeah.
Keep talking because
Sure, yeah.
because
Yeah.
Coincidentally enough, here
yeah.
on our wall is we sat my mom. Who at
Yeah.
the time was in her mid 80s.
So let's see what the date is on that guy, or on that one. 5/23/2020. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I used to do the cool thing where I always sign with like my Greek initials, theta pi, but in 2020 I could use the 0 as the theta. So that's a collector's piece, or at least it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah. One could hope,
And thank you for the wonderful gift. First of all, just by blessing us with your interpretation, right? You're capturing her image,
Yeah.
and you and I are very much alike. It's like
Yeah.
I like to stretch
Yeah.
the imagination, and you captured my attention right away. And I think that's why we just kind of followed each other and such, right?
Love your artwork too. I love what you're doing with Northeast Ohio Creatives. I was every time I see one of your pieces, it stands out, and there's this animus to it, this like a pulse behind it. And for me, no matter what you're working on, like you should have like boom, 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 boom. And I get that when I look at your stuff. I just love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
What we want to do is encourage you guys right from the beginning to stick with us. And for several reasons. One is because the story and these stories are great. But probably the main portion of our discussion is going to be this portion. Yeah, sure. Give us a 10,000-foot view.
Yeah. So been telling stories like in my head for a long time, and finally put these things to paper. And I'm the kind of dude that when it comes to creativity, like I'll bounce between different areas, but I kind of joke that when the muse takes me, I have to like go with her. So Talia showed up, that's my muse, and wanted me to write this particular story. It actually, the birth of it came from poor choice of words, but we had a tragedy. My wife and I had a late term miscarriage, and there was this thing in me that I needed to cope with it, and art heals. And I very much the first story just kind of poured out of me, and in retrospect, it's about this man who's trying to find a lost young woman, and this kind of notion of and it very much becomes a surrogate daughter, and this notion of like trying to save somebody, and being in this place. Yeah.
I think that the folks are going to walk away just like I will with a bunch of nuggets to like kind of write down, put on a note card, or post on their mirror. But I think the authenticity and the transparency and the healing process of writing or performing or painting or whatever is something that I think those folks that they may not be blessed with the discipline to create on a regular basis are missing.
I would. It's hard for me, honestly. Like, I think you're right, and it's hard for me to imagine a life where you're not producing something like consistently. It's very internal, and that's something that I love. Like when people, because every once in a while people will comment on like someone who's like will say something like I can't draw like that, or I wouldn't have the ability to do X, Y, or Z. And the truth is that the big secret is you don't have to do it well. I don't think I'm a good writer. I don't think I'm a skilled artist. You just do it, and then the next time you do it better, and next time you do it worse. But then you keep trying, and eventually, it's not about getting it right. It's about finding your own voice and expressing yourself. And when you're able to do that and be truthful with oneself, I think enormous healing can come from it. So yeah.
We are going to take.
You shouldn't have given me a microphone because I'll get on a soapbox.
No, listen. That's what. I think that's what keeps our community coming back. Is we're exploring ideas and taking a detour, and doing a scenic drive down a different idea, coming back. But considering the detour, if you folks joined us last week, we were with a team of 3D printers.
Yeah. How cool is that?
I didn't know much about. I mean, I understand the concept, right? I've seen them, but I didn't know how it really worked. I didn't know that there were apps where you could, go ahead and and create 3D pieces, scan objects, design something from a drawing to a 3-dimensional piece. Yeah. It really that opened my eyes to different mediums. Using plastics and acrylic. With 3D printing. But if you guys were with us last week and you shared that interview, they offered up 2 gift certificates.
That's so
first
awesome.
name that gets drawn gets a $100 certificate.
That's
and
awesome.
The $100, like their price, like $100 is going to buy you a super cool item, right? Or help you design it. So the first, you want to go ahead and pick out the first winner? $100 gift certificate from.
It's going to Rich Yarber.
Rich Yarber. Rich does the Midnight Movie.
Oh, that's
and he shares all the time. So thank you, Rich, for sharing $100 certificate. And then this is $200.
Oh gosh, okay.
$200 for Alpha Legends 3D printing.
We got it going to Tony Bianco.
Tony, he tells me all the time, and listen, if you continue to share these interviews, your name's going to be drawn. But Tony tells me he said, I manifest winning.
That's awesome.
And he goes, no, I manifest winning, and his name keeps getting drawn. So thank you, Tony. We wish you great success with Serenity Restaurant and your Culinary Institute. And for sharing $200 certificate. We'll connect you with those folks. But now that we've taken that detour, I want to come back on the on-ramp and encourage folks to share. In the very bottom left-hand side of your Facebook screen, there's an arrow. And when you press that arrow, Facebook will prompt you as to what to do next. When you press that button, you can share it to your friends list. You could share it to a group. You could share it to individuals, but the key is that when you share, we know it, and your name will be put into a drawing next week. And
you can get all 4 books signed, which might actually decrease the value, but overall, I think it'll be a fun thing. One of the things I dig about them too is that not only do you get the novellas, but in the back of the first 3, I do have like ephemera that I've worked on in Procreate and stuff in the second and third installment. So, yeah.
So I'm going to ask some questions. Some of these answers I already know, but tell me what a novella is.
It just comes down to word length. So about 50,000 words for a full-fledged novel, whereas a novella is like 17 to 25 or something like that. And growing up, like one of my big inspirations literature-wise is Philip K. Dick, who he himself played with like reality and mechanics. He's the dude who did Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which became Blade Runner, which has just inspired me so deeply with this kind of stuff. And I always appreciated that he could write a story that really connected with me with some beautiful prose, but keep it very, very like tight. And so yeah.
So somebody, instead of saying, I'm committing to 4, they commit to 4 novellas, shorter.
Yeah.
If we were to put these together, that's about a novel, maybe longer, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah. So no, you're right. Yeah, I've hit a novel length. If you had them all together,
one at a time.
Yeah.
So tell me, you said that there were
ephemera. So in the back of let's see, is it in the back of this one here? So like so I did that picture and then edited a picture of a VHS to show like just like how to draw a kitty cat. That's based on, if you look at like Disney or Hanna-Barbera, they have these like character Bible sheets about, so all the artists draw the characters the same way. So I added one of those that I came up with.
It adds, it feels like a documentary almost, like you're documenting the fact that this was a real place.
Absolutely. I wanted it to feel very much lived in. And one of the things I hear a lot about it is there's so much like there's so many different elements of it, but I wanted that to be real because it's like the characters are walking into a world that's not built for them. It was built and they happened to walk into it. Yeah. So it's very much like a lot of moving parts and things, but yeah.
You know what? Let's pause for a few moments, because we talked about how we met, which is, through the Pretentious Doom Portrait Artist. We have that, you sent me a framed piece, which is here. I think you also have another piece back, because I think that you drew me in that costume one time.
I love that picture. Yeah, that costume I'm in.
And was it the shadow in the background that?
I remember it was you with in the white
like that ghostly figure.
And if I remember, I threw like a bunch of tarot cards in there. And,
that's right.
Yeah.
And so we have 2 pieces of your artwork. Yeah. And I want to explore that, and then I want to come back here, because there's a bunch of folks here that are going to ask questions. Again, if you share and your name is drawn next week, you get the full set.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be pleasure. It's not a bad price.
It is a great price. I'm going to put this down for just a moment, but thanks for bringing some of this artwork, because your give us a little tour of your work.
Totally.
Where do we start? And
let's start here, because this actually kind of mirrors my roots with art, which is comic books. When I was, I don't know, before I could read, I was looking at comic books, and one of the things that always inspired me was like their ability to capture motion, emotion, the physical form, all these things. And so that's always been something that's really spoken to me. And I have a bunch of like inspirations: Jim Lee, Greg Capullo, Carl Kopinski, of course, like a bunch of these people that create these amazing dynamic and real, like they feel like real life characters. So,
and from a single image, you're describing movement, strength, everything that I think is meaningful.
Yeah, and like looking through this one, not to, clearly Batman. This was.
Do me a favor. Go ahead and lift that up.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and
so what I wanted to so for example, so he's off balance, like clearly he's falling or jumping, but doing like little things like being able to show like anger and frustration through a facial expression, using light to show like he is descending into darkness here, with the background purple and green. So of course I'm referencing, laughter. So this kind of notion that he's lost in whatever elaborate, trap or scheme or puzzle that the Joker has set upon him, and him being over it, and also just that kind of deep anger that he has towards the Joker, that the Joker thrives on. So
a story in a single image.
I'm trying. Yeah, that's
absolutely. Yeah. You capture that.
Thank you. Over here we got this one is this kind of image that's haunted me, not haunted, but like in a good way, like has always come back to me, which is a sponge diver coming across a large bronze. So this is kind of based on a true story where some Greek sponge divers came upon a wrecked ship from like Greco-Roman times and thought that they had, like, this was a fresh shipwreck and they found bodies, but they were these massive bronzes. So, but what if you were to blow that up and it was the size of a Titan? So that kind of thing. Yeah, really always captured. This is actually mixed media. This was done in Procreate, and then I went over it in colored pencils and stuff. So digital and then traditional.
Traditional as well.
Yeah.
And I've seen your space and underwater.
Oh yeah, over here. This, yeah.
I love that. I love that dynamic that you.
Thank you. Yeah. This is Anne Botany. She's one of the characters in the novellas, actually. But this one is, I was playing with like human accomplishment, right? Mm-hmm. And this juxtaposition that like our spacefaring dreams of tomorrow, but or if we're looking back into like pressurized suits and whatnot.
Yeah. But
regardless, they have to fit our form because at the end of the day, we're still human beings, and this kind of through line of our ingenuity interplaying with like our biology. I don't know. And at the end of the day, I mean, astronauts are cool, sponge divers are cool. Like, it still works.
Exploring the great unknown.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I kind of cheated a little bit because even though he's a sponge diver, he's wearing like a high pressure suit kind of thing, and there's kind of this notion of, so here this person's like in great pressure upon him, whereas this person's in no pressure around him, and yet needing to like deal with that. So, and human ingenuity needing for us to live in our environments and continue to thrive and progress as a species, kind of stuff.
Sponge diver.
Yeah.
Because I've seen there's do you dive?
I don't dive, but I think it, like growing up with like Greek heritage, it's like sponge diving and is this kind of part of my like that imprinted on me when I was a kid. Yeah.
I love that it rests in your work, right?
Yeah.
You had mentioned before that sometimes the art is a healing process, right? And a necessary part to creative beings, just to make things.
Absolutely.
Right? Or to write things. I mean, to create stories, create photos, to experience life in a different way. Is there any story behind some of these? I'm talking about in terms of the creative process.
So yeah, I think with all of them, like to a degree, there's always something that's like kind of brought me forward. Let me show you this guy. So this is based on a picture that I actually did in like 2000, very different from my usual style. But this is based off of a picture that I did back in like 2010, 2011. And what was happening here was so back in school, we had a ceremony for people that donated their bodies for our anatomy lab, and real dark. I'm sorry, but there's kind of this, and I kept thinking about this gift that was given to us so that we could learn and then use that knowledge to help other people. Mm-hmm. So looking at this is Prometheus descending Mount Olympus with fire that he's stolen from the gods, and giving it to people, which in Greek mythology, they were cave dwellers at the time, and just like kind of essentially just animals in human form, and giving us this like light of knowledge so that we can go on and be better and do good things. And the thing is that if you notice in the background, we have the eagle. So this is a gift that's not given freely. Prometheus has to sacrifice. In fact, he has to sacrifice his body in order for knowledge to be given to humanity. So it was a very, I thought, a very fitting symbol for
this. This is large work.
Oh,
this is large work. This isn't small work.
It was meaningful and
This begs a question. I know that folks are wondering. So why? So you were talking about people who donate their bodies.
Yeah,
Share with us your experience there, and how that is relevant to maybe what you do in and outside of your creative.
Totally. Yeah. My background is I work in medicine. I currently work with like palliative care and hospice and kind of end of life issues. So things like grief and I think one of the things that if I were to like, I don't know, a lot of my work centers around like just trying to move people to feel something, and not like in a cheap way, not in a, I shouldn't say that. That was so judgmental. I'm never trying to like move somebody to tears. What I'm trying to do is just be truthful. And sometimes the truth is boring. And if I can move somebody to say like, hey, sometimes life is boring and that is so beautiful. And then like, that's what I'm after. If that makes sense.
Yeah. You know what? That brings to mind a observation of mine. And it was, as somebody who is a tick away from, starting their 6th decade, I spent a lot of my first 4.5 decades chasing something that was extraordinary, thinking that would create something. And as I've been over 50, I find that sometimes happiness and stuff like that, the more rewarding things come out of the ordinary. In a strange way, like I appreciate, like I used to walk the dog. I'm like, I'm just getting this dog to walk and then pick up poop and then come home. I'm like, no, like walking the dog is magical. And and it's something that I kind of struggled to learn, the hard way. I would just buzz through it and move on. And now I'm enjoying it in a whole different way.
Absolutely. I mean, and I don't want to give the impression that I'm some kind of like Zen, like that, I think this is a process for all of us to learn to pause, be mindful and take in those moments.
Yeah.
That was one of the things when my baby was first born, and it'd be like sleep deprived, 3 a.m. and I'd be like holding her, just like wanting to sleep, to remind myself, like, isn't it beautiful that we have this healthy baby? Isn't it beautiful that she, that I get to hold her and care for her? Like trying to remind yourself of those things, especially in the toughest times.
Yeah. Man, thanks. I mean, there's all kinds of important things I think to learn through this time together, our interview together.
Yeah.
You've got. Thanks for bringing some of this artwork too, because I think it's important for us to explore the visual artwork for me to understand a little bit more about you creating these environments and images by words.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because when I'm writing, it's not. I like to joke that like I write quickly, so like I pound these out because the muse is just like demanding it. But so I write the novella quickly, but I write the sentences slowly because I'm being very deliberate about the exact. What does the sawdust like pattern like feel like? Not necessarily look like, but like the same way that I'm like when you draw something, it might not be like photorealistic, but you're conveying something, and that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Well done.
But,
do you have others here in this stack?
Let's see. I think I showed you Anne.
Yeah.
So you get to meet her, and in book 1. She kind of pops up here and there. I'm working on book 5 as we speak. So she's one of the protagonists in book 5. She's the head of Pirate Cove, one of the worlds, in Zoe's Expedition Park. Yeah. And I named it, just as a side, I named it Zoe's Expedition Park because Zoe means life. So it's this idea that this amusement park's a microcosm. Yeah.
Tell me about your signature, because you had mentioned there that outlet, that signature from 2020.
Yeah, Theta Pi. So my name in Greek is Themos Politis, and this and I'm proud of my heritage, and I've always, at least since before 2020, I always signed with like Theta Pi. Yeah.
Your mark, right?
Yeah, and actually, like in remembrance of him, this is my dad, a portrait I did of my father, done in acrylic, and it's actually just his birthday, but we lost him oh gosh, going 15, 20 years ago now, like close to that. So, oh, I'm hitting my mic. Sorry, everyone. But yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Was when you lost your father,
mm-hmm.
were you already in palliative care and hospice care and kind of caring for geriatric folks, or
Not
did this
at
come
all.
first?
This came first. So this was that is a great question. So he died my first year of medical school, and it was the hardest thing I'd ever been through. And when we were trying to figure out like what to do, trying to figure out what to do with one's life, one of the things that was offered to me as advice was look at your childhood hero and do what they did. Not your parent, but like what characters were you drawn to? And for me, it was always Batman. So my dad did not, we were not prepared for his death. He didn't die a good death, meaning like he wasn't comfortable and these sorts of things. So when I think of my childhood hero being Batman, the death of his parents becomes his mission to fight against crime so that other people don't experience the same trauma. And while he'll never be able to like defeat crime the same way, like I won't be able to keep people from dying, trying to make it a little bit better, a little bit more tolerable, a little less like you're cold and alone out there, that kind of stuff.
I'm sure that you have a ton of work. Why did you choose to bring this one?
Oh, this guy? Because, I think, well, for starters, he was a huge lover of art. He was a huge lover of literature, an avid reader. I think
do you mind picking that up real quick? I just figured it'd be nice to have you holding it, and I don't want to.
Yeah, but so much
from an angle.
Yeah, so much of what I do is directly inspired by the stuff that he instilled in me. Like, I know about Ingmar Bergman because of him. I know about Carl Sagan because of him. Like all these things that he brought into my life, innumerable. Yeah.
And you painted this. How long ago was? Oh no, this is your newer signature, right?
Yeah, this was only a few years ago.
Okay,
it's kind of like I don't remember exactly how long, but it was that like that thing of when the muse tells me to do something. One day I was just taken like I have to. It was I think on the anniversary, one of the anniversaries of his death, and I was just taken to make a stamp of no, he is still here.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm not this good of a portrait artist when it comes to like realism, and but there are times when it just feels like something is moving my hand for me, and this was definitely one of those times. Yeah.
For those folks that may not be fine artists or painters or visual artists, sometimes hearing like, well, the muse strikes, that sounds crazy to some folks. It doesn't sound crazy to me because I can relate, right? Yeah. But it sounds crazy to somebody. Help us to understand what that kind of means when you say, it's just kind of like my hand, moving.
It's, I guess, man, if you ever like, how would you, it's like when you get excited about, I don't know. If you know how to help, I don't know.
You know what?
It's almost as like
I grew up playing sports, and I kind of, like there's sometimes when you're playing sports where, like, on the basketball or whatever, like
and it just like
you're in the flow state, you're in the zone. Doesn't matter what you do, it's right.
Yeah. So I think when I'm talking about the muse, it's like saying to myself, it's like I'm struck with an idea that I know will get me into the flow state. Like I can see like things just kind of are falling into place. J.K. Rowling, when she talked about when she first got the inspiration for Harry Potter, she said it felt like the excitement when you're talking to somebody that it's going to be a great love affair kind of thing. That kind of butterflies in the stomach, like okay, like I see the park. I know like who's where, and you don't like I don't know all the details up front, but I see it and I'm going to go explore it. I'm very much a discovery writer, so like I don't have everything laid out, but I'm excited to find new people as I go. Yeah.
The um, the question I want to ask, and it's just pure curiosity. So we've, over 9 years on Tuesday 7, we've interviewed some of the most amazing people, and yourself included. This is number 2.
Yeah,
this is number 2, and I remember talking to some folks that are musicians, and I'm like, tell me your thought process. Like how does it work for them? And they're like, they think in sounds. And I'm like, I don't think in sounds. I think in images.
Same. Yeah.
And then I might use words to describe the images. So it's almost like a silent movie that I have to write a script for.
That is, yes. I'm right with you.
Yeah. And some people are like, no, I'm a writer. I think in words, and then I have to create the images behind it. And it's almost like, I don't want to call it love languages, but it's the creative languages. Like our brains work different based upon the gifts that are instilled upon us.
Cool.
And so do you see it in images, and then you kind of scribe the story behind the moving picture, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, by and large, it's a movie is playing in my head, and I am just dictating like the movie that I'm seeing.
Oh, yeah.
And then if something feels like cliche, or if something feels like, no, this isn't quite right, then I delete a couple sentences and go back at it.
Yeah.
And then, so I guess like the only time like sound comes into it is if I think that a sound cue or a, some other sensory cue would like hit, but it's only in service of this movie that's playing in my head. Yeah.
You write in silence?
Or white noise. Yeah. Okay. A lot of people will like talk about what soundtrack do you write to, and I'm like, it's really just background for me to drown out so I can get deeper into the film.
Click in.
Yeah.
Well, I know people are like, well, wait a minute, why aren't we talking about novels? And we see all these images, and the answer is yes, all of the above. But if you share, and your name is, you're going to see we've got Sharpies here. You're going to see that we have 4 novellas. And if you share it and your name is drawn next week, you're going to get the 4-pack, and they're all going to be signed. So it's going to be extra valuable because we know you're going to be drawn into these, and then they have a signed copy behind it. I mean, you can't get a signed copy off of Amazon.
You cannot.
You cannot. You have to get it personally signed by the author.
Yeah. I'm stoked. And like honestly, is it okay if I plug the audiobook?
Yes, please.
So the audiobook is amazing. I did it with this guy. And this is, so you asked me like what day of the week, like how like much of a hippie I am. I don't know, but every once in a while I feel pretty metaphysical. The dude that cold auditioned for the audiobook, his name's AJ Dana, and the guy did an amazing job. And as we're talking about, like one of the motifs in the novella is about Titanic, and it's about this abandoned amusement park, and this person that goes to the abandoned amusement park to find Titanic artifacts, and the detective that's going to try to find her. I find out that this guy did like the Six Flags voice for 6 years. And was also works on the Queen Mary, like very much like Kismet, like the part that this guy was born to play. Like he knocks it out of the park. I can't speak enough good things about it. He very much builds the world with me. So if you like audiobooks on Audible, it's available, but I have a bunch of like promo codes for the US and UK. Just message me and I'll send you a free code so you don't have to pay anything for it. I just want people to, I mean, I would like money, but I just want people to experience it and enjoy it because I'm very proud of this stuff.
Yeah. When you hear somebody else read your words, how does that change the story, or does it?
I mean, so I think it's finding things that I didn't intend to be there, but are every bit as valid. Like that's one of the things I think it's, maybe this is just my philosophy, but I think one of the things that happens with reading that is sometimes like skimmed over or not thought about is that it's a collaborative process. It's not an individual process. It's a collaborative process between you and the reader. So I could have like a pristine description of something, but the reader might see different things with it. Reader's going to take away different things. They're going to have a different movie playing in their heads. So to hear someone else like read it, it really does. It's weird, but in this guy's case, like just knocked it out of the park. Like we had a meeting beforehand to talk about the different characters and um, you know, how I heard them, how I, what their feelings were, and how he like manifested those feelings is really just phenomenal. Yeah.
Before we sit back down,
Yeah.
Did we miss any artwork that you wanna?
Oh,
you wanna show? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, I did this one back in 2020. This is Amy Acton, and I wanted to do an image of her because it was such a dark and like scary time, and everything's like political now. But at the end of the day, this is somebody that, in my estimation, was an American hero. She was getting up there with Governor DeWine, giving us like a sense of normalcy with DeWine, and it was not an easy time for anyone. Working in a hospital, like worrying that my friends were gonna die, that I was like, but like nobody had it easy. It was such a horrible like time, and what she and DeWine were doing by having like I think it was 2 p.m. every day.
Wine with DeWine, right?
Yeah, wine with DeWine. The sense of like community and normalcy. And then, ultimately, people were picketing their house with guns and stuff, and just scary stuff. And just how thankful I am that she was doing what she was doing. Yeah.
And being, in the medical field, right? You were seeing things that we weren't. We were all holed up in our house, maybe drawing some portraits.
Yeah.
Right? And you're you're in gear and dealing with scary endings of some lives for sure.
Yeah. And it was a dark time. I still, honest to goodness, like I'll shoot you straight, I still haven't fully processed it yet. At times there's like I don't know. I'm still working on it, honestly.
Yeah. That's fair. I'm going to set this back down and let's talk more about writing, because I know as we've been kind of and it is, I think, important for folks to see your paintings and the creativity that you've been involved with. Now, Zoe's Expedition Park, the novellas, that's not your first writing, right? You've been writing for a bit.
Yeah.
Take us there.
Sure. I mean, I think honestly, like storytelling wise, I would get, again, just like every once in a while, I would be like, I have to write X, Y, or Z. And a lot of the times it wasn't, it was like screenplays is how I kind of started out. So I'd write a bunch of different screenplays, and what ended up happening was I kind of became frustrated that I had these grand visions, but how am I going to make an independent film that involves an abandoned amusement park, or things like that. So that was kind of the transition where I'm like, well, the novella would be a way for me to do that without having those limitations in place. Some of my older writing stuff, like I did a series of sketchbooks. I kept getting gifted sketchbooks, and like for most, I don't want to say this, but like for me as a creative person, like I don't really want to, I want to be more free with my with what I'm being asked to like draw and stuff.
Yeah.
So I did like all these sketchbooks where it's just a pretty like thorough description of a character, not physically, but just like their backstory, and it's up to the person to like draw out what they're seeing with it. So I did one that was like ghosts, one was vampires, and then the third one was like kind of Lovecraftian weirdness, and that really like kind of like primed me up to like jump into this, like all the descriptions in there.
Yeah, I love that your books come very highly rated, by the way, on Amazon. They come really highly rated, and it doesn't surprise me because I sped through this one, and I'm digging into Nameless, the number 2.
Yeah.
But I love, because if somebody were to describe something I did and they were to say he's either certifiably insane or a mad genius, that's
my favorite review I've got, and then I like a lot of my reviews, but to say like he's either insane or a genius, I'm just like, those are not mutually exclusive. I'll take both.
Yeah. Because I truly think that, if we reflect on the movies, the writings, the authors, the painters that move us, those two, those coincide, right?
Yeah.
Talk about, mad genius, certifiably insane. I would say that the amount of work that you do is insanely disciplined. Like what's the process? Do you write every day? Like when
try to, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about that.
I mean, it's like honestly, I should be like walking or working out. And what happens is I wake up before the rest of the family for an hour to 2 hours every day, and I write. That's yeah. As soon as I'm awake, like honestly, like I found that that's like my best like creative spot is I'll be in that state where I'm not fully awake yet. I'm still having my coffee, and during that time, like it just kind of it doesn't always flow out of me. I don't want to like make it sound like it's not tough, but that's when I do my best work.
Yeah. I have had the great blessing of doing the book, The Artist Way. Have you ever heard of that? The Artist Way.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring that up is because there's several artists that we did this kind of a study together, exploring, some of the principles that were proposed back when that book was written in the 1970s. But the reason I bring that up, and it's important because one of the tenets of the Artist Way, they say do an artist date where you spend some time each week, at least once a week, selfishly focused on artwork, which is part of the reason why Tuesday at 7 exists.
Oh, that's so cool.
One time a week, where people can just kind of kick in, pour into, listen, learn, be inspired by, ask questions, win some cool stuff. That was part of the inspiration behind Tuesday at 7. But one of the other tenets that I remember was as we joined the group with Deb Sherrill and some of the other folks out here, it was to morning journal. And it was like the first thing you do, you wake up, brush your teeth, and you grab a pen and you write longhand on paper. And they're like some of that best work.
Yeah.
You have to kind of sort through that that newly awakened state, because there's some of that. Maybe it's kind of a veil between the REM, because I did, my thesis was on the psychophysiology of dreaming. And it was a lot of REM, because I was like, I want to get the psychology of it, but it was a lot of physiology that I found myself digging into.
Yeah.
But in the mornings, our REM stages are long and our sleep stages are short. So we're in this dream state, and we get up, and sometimes it takes some time to get out of that. And I think that's a good time to capture.
I agree. Totally
capture,
agree.
Images, and if you can harness that and write in the morning, then I could, be like, Themo and just kick stuff out.
I mean, and I'll say like, it's funny that you say that. I didn't put it together, but like, it is a very dreamlike thing, like kind of a. I mean, I was aiming for David Lynch, but like it is a very, wandering, encountering these strange characters. At times a nightmare, at times comforting and fun. Like it does have like a dreamlike quality to it. Now that I'm kind of reflecting on that,
The novellas, there's reoccurring. Titanic is there. Is that like there's like what's the inspiration behind the Titanic?
Oh man, I think this is.
And I mean, we saw some underwater exploration.
I like the rational answer is that it's this like story where there's a bunch of stories within it, kind of a microcosm itself that was like man-made and yet doomed to suffer the same fate as everything else. But like the maybe the more honest answer is that it was just in me for a long time to somehow do something with that ship. I don't know why I'm oddly obsessed with this tragedy, but I'm just one of these weirdos that hyper fixates on certain like events, and Titanic's one of them. I don't know why.
I bet you that if one were to dig into our own subconscious, we all have things like that.
Yeah,
and Titanic is probably not that uncommon, considering how popular like the film was and how popular that luxurious, vehicle, which ended in tragedy,
And I think that's part of it is this kind of like this, you have this very luxurious thing like that, look at, what humankind's capable of with our science and engineering and glamour and all this, and yet ultimately we're nothing compared to nature. You know what I mean? And then there's the other side of it too, which is that there's still like classism and racism and all these like like all the other stuff that comes with Edwardian society.
Yeah.
And that we still deal with as a society is baked into the story as well. If you look past the romanticism and into like the real humans that were there, I don't know.
Zoe's expedition park, I know, is in the humid South Florida. And so if you guys are kind of dialing in here, we see the Titanic, and we also see the giant Ferris wheel as the clock. Yeah,
that's that was this image that I couldn't get out of my head, was that as we're dealing with this story that talks about grief and regret and overcoming and all these things, that time is always marching on, and something about the juxtaposition of a clock, which is a very sterile and stern type of image, set against a Ferris wheel, which is also a circle, but also like the polar opposite. Something about that was just very enticing to me.
Inside the book, I don't want to give too much away. We'll give just a few teasers.
Yeah.
But there's several levels, even in the physicality of your story, of like your below ground.
That's my favorite passage, is the strange old thing below. Yeah.
It's great. I don't read fiction, fantasy. It's just that it's just not my thing. But I sped through one, and I'm reading two, and so for that reason,
I keep smacking my. You keep honoring me, and I keep smacking my mic. I'm sorry.
What?
No, that means the world to me. I honestly, like when I was going for David Lynch, and kind of what I think I meant in my head by that is that like parts of it are going to be high art and parts of it are going to be like pulp fiction, like not the movie, but like pulp magazines and stuff. Yeah. And I wanted to hit somewhere between there where it's entertaining, but also like I'm trying to convey some deep stuff there. And so,
when you bring your creative self to maybe what and I'll make an assumption here, and it's probably not a safe assumption, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway as a question. Yeah. When you bring your creative self to what might be kind of a left brain medical world, like how do people react? Because you can bring that creativity to a whole different level.
Yeah, I mean, like honestly, like to do the job well, all of us in it need to engage that side, especially when it comes to like the human element. When I'm talking to somebody, being excited to talk to somebody, like being, and when you're kind of there are guidelines and algorithms and things, but thinking outside the box and all those, and that's not a solo thing that is particular to me. That's like all the people I've modeled myself off after and respect and still work with to this day. Like, like I don't want to name names, but bottom line is all these people that you respect, like a lot of, like everyone has a part of that. I think a lot of them have a wonderful creative side too. I know several people that are excellent artists in their own right. I'm just like the kind of nerdy pick me that has to put it out there to get the feedback and has that compulsion to share it too.
Talking about putting it out there, right? Because not only are you writing, but people can jump on Amazon and pick up, one of 9 pieces. How many are on?
4 in the series right now for those, and then I got those 3 sketchbooks. Yeah,
3 sketchbooks as well.
So coming up on 7 there. Yeah, no, but then I also have a Titanic journal, which is fine. You can skip the Titanic journal unless you're a bro.
unless you have to collect all of his writings. What's the process of going from writing to self-publishing or publishing and having people buy your stuff?
Honestly, if you find that out, let me know. Because I can self-publish that. You go on Fiverr to find some. So you can do it a couple different ways. Like finding an editor who makes sure your editor is somebody that gets your style. I kind of have a little bit of a noir tinge in a lot of my stuff, just a little bit. But if you find somebody that wants you to write romantasy, that's not gonna
You don't want to be reined in if your gift is to go out, right?
Exactly, right. So finding the right editor is the first step. Or if you're self-editing, which I've been doing now, you just have to be careful because I've messed up. I like to think that all my typos and stuff that I've missed is just proof that it's not entirely written by AI or something like that, right? Yeah. So that's number one. Number two is getting it formatted right. And you can go on Fiverr or something like that to get somebody to format it right. Or there is software out there for $100. It's called Atticus, and it does a very good job of if your stuff isn't super complicated with presentation, different fonts and things. If it's just a straightforward novel, it does the job well. And then I publish through Amazon, which I'm kind of.
If you had to do over again, you might.
I probably would try to go either a traditional or go to a smaller. I kind of am kicking myself with giving money to Jeff Bezos, but the bottom line is that it's possible. There are a ton of YouTube tutorials that got me through it all. Honestly,
okay,
yeah.
Oh, nice. That's a great resource.
Yeah, the marketing parts where I'm doing my best, I'm trying to use TikTok and stuff like that. Yeah.
Practicing medicine, you're writing first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
You're trying to do this, and yet you still are producing
on
a regular basis. Do you have a vision board, or what is 2026, 2027? Or do you not even cast that? Are you in the present, just going, I'm going to live?
Yeah. So I'm glad you asked that question because right now I've been cranking out these books, these novellas, and this is the first time with book 5 where I'm okay, I don't want this to be as much as I love Drist and the D&D series with that. I'm not going to be writing entry number 54 and stuff like that. I need to set down. I need to start working towards the end, and I've seen certain things for the end, just in imagining it.
Yeah.
But I need to start actually laying the groundwork to walk there now. So. The next few series are going to be a little bit more, hopefully more structured, but not seeming like anything's different, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it certainly does. I know that there's going to be a lot of folks out here that are going to be clicking, going to watch this. There'll be thousands of people that watch this. I kind of it's kind of like the Cleveland Agora. They sell out 2,000 every week. You're so selling out the Agora, and the other artists that we have here. Just keep filling up the views and the seats.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. Well, you have such a myself excluded. I'm always impressed with the people you have on, and the different types of creative people. It blows my mind. So yeah. I don't want to start naming people because then I'm going to feel bad that I didn't. So
yeah, you did.
But yeah.
And folks are so how do you? I'm I'm just gifted because every single time that we sit down and we talk, very often just a process of asking questions and sitting down and getting to know somebody, even a 1 hour Tuesday at 7 session, there's a connection, a friendship, a creative commonality that we establish. And then what happens is that when we connect, you bring in, a bunch of folks that are fans of your writing, and then they connect and it just opens doors.
Right on.
And strange way it happens.
Yeah. Cool. I'm here for it.
and the way, and folks are is this a business? What do you do? And why would you continue to do it? I'm because it's incredible to meet ordinary and extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. And that's the reason why we just keep going every week, pressing like the artist way, just click in. But what we want to do is not just, not just engage people on a weekly basis, but there's always the possibility of winning. Right. And so as we kind of finish things out in the very bottom left-hand side of your screen, there's an arrow. If you press that and share it to your friends list, to a group, we're going to put your name in a drawing. And if your name is drawn next week, you're going to get the 4-pack, the whole, that's like an old term, the whole novella series. Yeah. And you're going to sign them here before we sign off as well. And are you going to sign in red and black and silver?
Let's go with red.
You know what? Let's at least sign the first one on here, because people will say, "Is that a real signature?" And you're like, "Go back to the interview." Which is the analog veils?
The first one. Yeah, heck yeah.
So we're gonna capture. Let me capture this up here. Go over your shoulder.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
There's
your chance.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Themo, for sharing your story. I've been shaky with this camera. We've looked at your artwork. We've, explored your writing process. We've talked about the muse. Yeah. We're going to keep an eye on your work here for years to come. And we appreciate everybody who's joined us this February 2026. We want a date stamp this because usually I start with that. And I forgot. February 2026, because in 10 years, we're going to be looking back and going, there's a film of your work, or,
awesome.
whatever it is. We appreciate you sharing your story, and we appreciate everybody for joining us today. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.